What is good, everybody? Tunji again from Ceasar Graphics. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make church poster. I've been designing church posters now for 14 years. So today I'm going to be teaching you guys how I make my Thanksgiving church poster. So without any further ado, let's jump into today's tutorial. Okay, so let's create a new document. So I'm going to be using 800 by 800 for this project because I want to be able to post this on Instagram. Make my resolution 72, and my color mode is going to be RGB. So I'm going to call this Thanksgiving poster. So then I'm going to click on the create button. All right, so the first thing I'm going to bring in is my background image. So I'm going to drag that and drop here like so. And I'm going to scale this real big, just like so. All right. Then I'm going to go straight to Illustrator. So I have these two Illustrator design that I already created. So if you want to know how to achieve these two effects with Illustrator, there's a link up here that you can click on that will take you to the tutorial on how I achieve this design. All right, so this is the first one and this is the second one. So I'm going to start with the radial line. I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to go straight to Photoshop and paste this. All right, make sure that when you're pasting this, you are on the shape layer. Now, the reason why I'm always on the shape layer is so that I'll be able to change the color of my vector here in Photoshop. And I'll zoom out. So I'm going to scale this big with the free transform. So the reason why I'm positioning this here is because I'm going to be placing my sacks here. So I wanted to look at see if the parts where the line connected is coming out from the sacks. So I'm going to scale this big like so. Change my blend mode to overlay. So I'm going to drag in the sacks image and I'm going to flip this horizontal and this should be somewhere around here. All right, so I'm going to zoom in. Then I'm going to scale this a little bit. So I'm going to move this here. All right. So let's run this here. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to add a gradient map to the sacks. So I need to change the name of my layer to sacks and I'll go to the gradient map here and I'm going to click on this icon to say I want it to apply to just only the sacks layer. And I'll click here. Then I'll go to the gradient editor and I'll change the color of my gradient to 82500. Then I'm going to click on the OK button. I'll come here and I'll change the color of this to BA6B then 00. All right, then I'm going to click on the OK button. Then I'll click on the OK button. So I'm going to change my blend mode to soft light. All right, so I am going to position this somewhere here like the way it is. And the next thing I'm going to do is to bring in the title of my artwork. So to do that, I'm going to go back to Illustrator and I'll copy this again. All right, then I'm going to paste it. Okay, so still on the same paste option, which is shape layer. I'm going to click on the OK button. Now, this is the reason why I always choose the shape option. All right, so I'm going to double click here now and I have the color picker on my screen so I can change the color of my vector here in Photoshop. So I'm going to click on the OK button and I'm going to position this here. So I think I still need to rotate the sacks a little bit. All right, so I'm going to bring out the pre-transform and I'm going to just rotate this just like so. All right, then I'm going to move this to somewhere around here and I'm going to make a copy of this. All right, then I'm going to double click here and I'll change the color of this to a dark green color and this should come out. Then I'll make a copy again and this should be behind this and I'm going to change the color of this to this shade of yellow. Now this is how I bring out the color picker. Just double click on the thumbnail of the vector and you have the color picker on your screen. So I'm going to move this out here like so. You know what, I'm going to change the color of this a little bit more. So now what I do most of the time is when I'm, applying color to my object, all right, whenever I'm working on any design project, I try as much as possible to use colors that go with the color of my background. And that's the reason why I decided to change the color of the sacks from what it was before to this. Then I'm going to select the layer of the team, all right, and I'll put them in a group. Then I'll call this team. I'll copy the rider. So I'm going to change this to bold. All right, now the font that I'm using here is called the Avant-Garde, all right? So for the title, if you care, so just for those of you that care to know the name of the font that I use on the title is called Madness. 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 That's the name of the font. All right, so I'm going to add this hyphen and I'm going to hit the enter key. So I need to scale this big like so. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this again. Then I'll change this to this shade of green. All right, and I'll push this down. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to make people's focus to be at the center of my frame. So to do that, I'm going to add a curve adjustment and, let's just drag this up so yes, to be able to see my curve adjustment. So I'm going to drag this down like so. All right, and I'm going to select the layer mask of the curve adjustment and I'm going to hit the Control I on my keyboard to reverse the mask. So I'm going to zoom out, all right, and I'm going to select the brush tool. So make sure your foreground color is set to white. So I need to turn on the transfer option, all right, because I'm using the Graphix tablet. So if you don't have a Graphix tablet, you can easily reduce the flow or the opacity. So I'm just going to gently apply my brush to the edges of my frame. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer and call this dark green. Okay, and I'm just going to apply another shade of green here because I am going to add something here. So I'm just going to make this um, darker. Now you see we're beginning to see the information below the title. So I'm going to add noise to this project. So I'm going to hold on Alt and click on the new layer icon to bring out the new layer setting, and I'm going to call this noise. And I'll change my blend mode to soft light and check the fill with soft light neutral color 50% gray option, and I'm going to click on the OK button. So I'm going to now go to filter noise and say add noise. Then I'm going to increase my noise just like so. All right, now you see we're beginning to see some grain effect at the bottom of our project. So I'm going to click on the OK button. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is, you know what, let's just scale this down. All right, so I'm going to scale this down. So, all right, then I'm going to bring in my date and time. All right, so I'm going to push this up. And for the social media, I'm going to just scale that down, just like so. Push this up like so. Okay, so this should be here. And everything needs to go down. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to add a color lookup. So I'm going to go to the adjustment tab here and I'll click on the color lookup option. And the option I'm going to use is going to be the 3 strips look so as to boost the color of my project. Now you see what we have now. All right, so I'm going to move these above all the layers like so. Now you see it's making our project look more rich. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group both the social media team and the writer. I'm going to put them in the same group. So I'm going to hit Ctrl G and I'm going to call this all. All right, then I'm going to bring out a free transform, right click and select Q. And I'm going to move this up like so. All right, and this should come down. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do to make my title more interesting is to add bevel to it. So I'm going to draw the bevel myself. So I'm going to go to the top of the layer, and I'm going to create a new layer, and I'll call this bevel. All right, then I'm going to zoom in like so. Then I'm going to use my pen tool to do this. So I'm going to click here, 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 and here. All right, then I'm going to hold Control Enter on my keyboard to convert this to a marquee. And I'll go to the foreground color picker. I'm going to change this to, let's say, this shade of green, like so. And I'm going to click on OK. So I'm going to apply the foreground color with Alt Backspace, which is the shortcut. All right, then I'm going to hit the Control D on my keyboard to take away the marquee. So I need to make this more brighter. So I'm going to hit Control L on my keyboard. All right, and I'm just going to increase the brightness of this. All right, so I'm going to click on the OK button. So what I'm going to do now is to select my foreground color picker and just pick that color that I just created, and I'm going to click on the OK button just like so. So I'm going to do the same thing for all the letters. All right, so this needs to be behind the sax layer. And so I'm going to zoom out. Okay, so I am going to take out this color from this side of the sax. All right, so I'm just going to switch to black here, and I'm going to just take this out from here, just like so. Then for the church address, I'm just going to create shape somewhere around here, just like so. Then I'm going to change the color of my shape. Okay, so I'm going to change the color of the address to this shade of green. All right, and yeah. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you have not subscribed, remember to hit the subscribe button and remember to ring the bell so you will be notified when I post my tutorials. I'll see you guys again in the next one. Peace.